Ito ang ambag ko.
Ako.
Ikaw.
Lahat tayo.
Sama-sama nating
Mayaangat ang bayan.
Basta't sama-sama tayo.
Sa pag-ingat buhay.
Para sa ating hanap buhay.
Mas hugas iwas.
Magandang tanghali Pilipinas, narito po tayo ngayon sa Handa Resort, Ulat Beach, Panglao, Bohol, kung saan makakasama po natin. Magandang tanghali Pilipinas, narito po tayo ngayon sa Handa Resort, Ulat Beach, Panglao, Bohol, kung saan makakasama po natin si Governor Arthur Yap at iba pang opisyal ng ating probinsya ng Bohol at si Henry Chusoy ng Handa Resort dahil magbubukas na po para sa turismo ang Island Paradise na Bohol mula po 15 ng Nobyembre. Pero mainit pa pong balita, pinayagan na po ng Presidente ang Department of Foreign Affairs na imbestigahan ang dating Philippine Ambassador to Brazil na si Marichu Mauro. Bilang isang presidential appointee, kinakailangan po ang pagpayag ng Presidente bago maimbestigahan ang dating Philippine Ambassador to Brazil, Marichu Mauro. Meron din po tayong mabuting balita habang hindi pa po nare-resolba ng tuluyan ang kontrobersiya sa panig ng PhilHealth at ng Philippine Red Cross. Nagpadala po ng abiso ang Project ARC sa pamamagitan ng kanyang medical director, si Dr. Mingita Padilla, na handa raw po sila na isubject sa PCR testing ang mga bumabalik na OFWs at mga overseas Filipinos natin sa kanilang 11 laboratories with a testing capacity of 3,000 laboratories per day. Sang-ayon po dito, ang sabi po ni Dr. Mingita Padilla, i-devote po nila ang kanilang laboratory sa Philippine Children's Medical Center, sa Jose Rodriguez Memorial Hospital sa Caloocan at JB Lingad Memorial Hospital sa Pampanga para i-test po ng PCR test ang mga bumabalik na OFWs at OFs natin. Similarly po, nagpadala rin po ng abiso ang Philippine Airport Diagnostic Laboratory through Dr. Jaime. Ito po ay isa sa 2 pribadong laboratories na nag-ooperate sa NEA na handa rin po silang magbigay ng PCR test sa mga bumabalik ng OFWs natin sa kaparehong halaga na sinisingil po ng Philippine Red Cross. Meron po silang kapasidad para sa 4,000 daily PCR test sa mga bumabalik na OFWs natin. Ang mensahe po natin, yung mga bumabalik na OFWs, wag po kayong mag-alala, hindi po maaabirya ang inyong PCR tests. Now, siguro po, maikli lang tungkol dun sa nabanggit ng ating mabuting kaibigan na si Senator Richard Gordon. Sa totoo lang po, ang pamilya po ni Senator Gordon na isa sa pinakamalapit na kaibigan ng aking pamilya, hindi naman po tayo naghihimasok sa issue ng PhilHealth at ng Philippine Red Cross. No? Kaya nga lang po, Nagsasalita po tayo sa ngalan po ng ating Presidente at importante po talaga kay Presidente Duterte ang testing dahil alam po natin na kabahagi ito, napaka-importante kabahagi ito ng ating strategiya laban po sa COVID-19, ang malawakang COVID-19 testing. No? Bukod pa po rito, ang inyong abang lingkod naman po ay hindi alam naman po natin na tayo po yung kauna-unahang nagsulong ng Universal Healthcare Bill sa mababang kapulungan noong 17th Congress. At dahil dito po, meron din naman po tayong interest na siguraduhin na ginagawa ng PhilHealth ang kanyang katungkulan dahil sila po nagpapatupad ng Universal Healthcare at ito pong testing ay isa po sa mandato talaga ng Universal Healthcare. Ito po yung RA 11223 o ang Universal Healthcare. Paglilinaw lang po. Now, sa iba pang mga balita po, may mga balita po tayo, mabuting balita galing sa SSS. Magandang balita po sa mga pensioners ng SSS. Malapit nang matanggap ang pensyon para sa buwan ng Nobyembre. Dahil weekend at special non-working holiday ang 1 ng Nobyembre, matatapos ng Social Security System or SSS ang pagpopondo ng unang batch ng November 2020 pension ngayong araw. I-release ng Development Bank of the Philippines, ang partner na bangko ng SSS, ang pondo hanggang bukas ng tanghali 12 noon sa ibang mga PesoNet participating banks, e-wallets tulad ng Paymaya at sa M. Luwilier. At tulad ng sinabi ko sa nakaraang briefing, ang unang batch ay yung may date of contingency sa unang araw hanggang 15 ng buwan. Ang second batch ay sa kalagitnaan po ng buwan. Okay, tapos meron pa rin po tayong isa pang balita. Bilang pagtugon po sa kahilingan ng mga motorista, in-extend ng DOTR ang palugit sa pagsisimula ng 100% cashless transactions sa mga toll roads mula 2 ng Nobyembre at ginawang 1 ng Disyembre ngayong taon. So wag po kayo magpanik. Binigyan po tayo ng mas mahagang panahon para magpakapit niyang RFID. Ito ay upang bigyan ng konsiderasyon ang mga kababayan natin na hindi pa rin nakakapag-install ng RFID sa kanilang mga sasakyan. Paalala ko sa ating mga kababayan, iwasan natin yung nakasanayan na kung kailan ilang araw na lang bago ang deadline, saka tayo dudumog sa mga installation sites. Habang maaga pa po ay magpakabit na tayo ng RFID upang maiwasan ang last minute na transaksyon. Huling hirit na po ang extension na ito. No? Simula December 1 ay mahigpit na pong ipatutupad ang full cashless transactions sa ating mga toll roads. COVID update naman po tayo. Ito po ang global update. Ayon po sa Johns Hopkins, higit 44 na milyon or 44,386,621 na po ang tinamaan ng COVID-19 sa buong mundo. Merong 1,172,684 katao naman ang binuwi ng buhay dahil sa coronavirus. Nangunguna rin pa rin po ang Estados Unidos na merong 8.8 million na kaso at 227,663 deaths. Pangalawang India na merong pong pangalawa po ang India, pangatlo pa rin ang Brazil, pang-apat ang Russia at pang-5 po ang France. Dito naman po sa Pilipinas, meron po tayong 38,955 na mga aktibong kaso ng COVID. Ito po ay mula sa kabuuang bilang na kaso na 375,180. Ibig sabihin nito ay 10.4% ang porsyento ng aktibong kaso sa kabuuang kaso. Sa mga aktibong kaso naman po, 83% ay mild, 11.1% ay asymptomatic, 3.8% ay critical, 2.2% ay severe. 329,111 ang nai-report na gumaling. Ito po ay 87.7% mula sa kabuuang bilang ng kaso ng COVID-19 sa bansa. Samantalang meron po tayong 7,140 naman ang binuwi ng buhay. Nakikiramay po kami sa inyo. Naka-flash naman po sa ating screen yung ating tinatawag na critical care capacity ng ating mga hospital. No? Ito po ay national basis. 54% po ang available na mga ICU beds. 58% po naman po ang isolation beds. Samantalang 65% po ang available na ward beds. Meron po tayong 78% available na mga ventilators. Dito po nagtatapos ang ating briefing. Marami po tayo ngayong mga panganuhin. No? Pero unahin na po natin yung pinangako natin na bibigyan natin ng pagkakataon ang DOH na magbigay po ng explanation kung paano po ginagawa o binubuo ng whole nation approach, sa pamamagitan ng whole nation approach, yung rekomendasyon pagdating po sa quarantine classification. Ang naging rekomendasyon po na naaprubahan naman po ng Presidente subject to appeal ay ilang mga lugar kasama na ang Metro Manila at ang Batangas ay mananatili po sa GCQ. Kasama rin po natin ang ating Ambassador, Mr. Ambassador, His Excellency to the United Kingdom, Antonio Lagdameo, para pag-usapan po ang bakuna na dinidevelop ng Britanya at kung paano masisiguro na magkakaroon po tayo ng access dito sa bakuna na galing sa Britanya. Kasama rin po natin via VMix si Bohol Governor Arthur Yap na naka-quarantine ngayon para pag-usapan ang mga hakbang ng probinsya laban sa COVID-19 at sa muling pagbubukas ng probinsya sa turista. Live naman natin kasama si Henry Chusoy, ang may-ari po ng ating host dito ng Henan Resort, sa isa po sa pinakamalaking hotel chain sa Pilipinas. At naririto rin po live si Atty. Lucas Nunyag, ang aking kapitbahay, Chairman ng Provincial Tourism Council ng Bohol, at si Engineer Allen Varquez, ang Executive Vice President ng Bohol Association of Hotels, Resorts, Restaurants Incorporated. At kasama rin po natin ang local media ng Bohol. Welcome to everyone. So punta muna tayo kay Yusek Lilibeth David. Ma'am, paano ba ho nabuo ang rekomendasyon na ilagay sa GCQ ang ilang lugar sa Pilipinas, kasama na po ang Metro Manila at Batangas? The floor is yours, Yusek Lilibeth David.
Maraming salamat po, Secretary Harry Roque. Magandang hapon po sa ating mga panauhin at ating mga tagapanood po sa ating programa ngayon. So, ilalahad po namin ang ating Community Quarantine Classification Framework and yung ating pong saglit po namin ipapakita ang risk classification po ng ating mga probinsya, highly urbanized cities, independent component cities for November 1 to 30, 2020. So, uunahin
Medyo nawala po ang sound nyo, Ma'am Lilibeth David. Hello? Nawala. Well, habang wala pa po si Ma'am Lilibeth David, si Ambassador, Philippine Ambassador to the United Kingdom, His Excellency Antonio Lagdameo. Sir, ano na pa ho ang balita dyan sa bakuna na ginagawa ng Oxford University at ng AstraZeneca at anong mga hakbang na nagawa na natin para masiguro na tayo naman po ay magkakaroon ng bakunang ito? Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Hapon sa inyo, Secretary Roque. At ito ang UK, as we said, is in the forefront of international efforts for research and to develop a vaccine. And Oxford University Jenner Institute and Imperial College London is among the front runners in COVID-19 vaccine development in the world. As you know, Secretary Roque, our sub-technical working group or sub-TWG on vaccine development of the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases is on top of efforts to look into possible partnerships with bilateral partners who have COVID-19 vaccine development in the advanced stage and also willing to locally manufacture their vaccines in the Philippines. The Philippine government, through this sub-technical working group, has been in close collaboration with several countries and international organizations that are engaged in the development and manufacture of possible COVID-19 vaccine. And the Philippines has had talks with some foreign vaccine R&D institutes and manufacturers who are ahead in the race for COVID-19 vaccine. The government has also signified its intent to participate in both the World Health Organization Solidarity Trial on vaccines and the GAVI COVAX facility. Now, our embassy here in London, we have been in touch with the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy, which is their government agency in the UK, responsible for coordinating efforts to research and produce a vaccine, and also with Imperial College London to obtain more information on COVID-19 vaccine development. I have actually met 3 times in July, August, and September with the ASEAN, together with the ASEAN London Committee, with the Minister of State Nigel Adams of the Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office to discuss the UK's vaccine development and access of ASEAN member states to the UK's vaccines. Well, in these meetings with Minister Adams, he has always highlighted that the UK is making good progress in developing this vaccine, but also emphasized that the UK government is cautious with its language and is trying not to overpromise and underdeliver on the date and commercial availability of the vaccine. However, he said there could also be a possibility that this vaccine will be available at the end of the year or the first quarter of 2021. He also repeated the UK's commitment in making the vaccine widely available and affordable. For our part, we also welcomed, together with the ASEAN ambassadors here in London, the UK's £1 million contribution to the ASEAN COVID Response Fund. I myself shared that the Philippines has created our Department of Science and Technology Vaccine Expert Panel, which is a group of technical experts and scientists who are tasked to identify, evaluate, and recommend possible vaccine candidates for the Philippines as part of measures to ensure vaccine safety and efficacy. By the way, also, Secretary Roque, during these meetings of ASEAN London Committee with him, Minister Adams profusely thanked the many brilliant health workers from the Philippines who are working in the NHS, and he expressed sadness that some have passed away from COVID-19 in the line of duty at the beginning of this COVID-19 crisis. Well, as you know, the trials at Oxford, the vaccine trial, was halted in early September after a participant in the UK displayed an adverse reaction. It has since been claimed that the adverse reaction experienced by the participant in the vaccine may not have been caused by the vaccine itself. So they have cleared phases 1 and 2 for human trials and are progressing now to the 3rd phase, where it is being tested on a larger number of participants. And well, before the suspension of the trial, testing had been positive. So the results of the trial showed that initial trials on 1,077 British adults found that the vaccine induced strong antibody and T-cell responses, which may further improve after a booster injection. So this discovery is very promising because separate studies have suggested that antibodies may fade away within months while the T-cells can stay in circulation for years. So far, the UK has already signed deals for more than 340 million doses of the vaccine. So the total stockpile means that if the vaccines all work, there will be more than enough for every person in Britain to have 5 doses. Most of the vaccines require 2 doses to be effective. And well, they have assured us also that the UK Well, they have 48 million pounds to finance vaccines for lower income countries. And the World Health Organization has said that 172 countries and multiple candidate vaccines were engaged in talks about joining the initiative. So they have promised that it will be available for other smaller countries who are like us.
Salamat, Ambassador Lagdabeo. I hope you can join us for our open forum. I'm sure marami pong tanong din ang ating mga kasama sa local media ng Bohol and sa Malacanang Press Corps. Let's try again, Yusek Lilibeth David. Yusek, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you po. Magandang hapon ulit. So ituloy po natin yung ating station. Pakilabas na lang po yung ating station. So sige po, next slide na po tayo. So titignan po natin muna ang ating framework. Paano ho tayo nagla-classify ng risk para sa ating mga lugar sa Pilipinas. So ang basehan ho talaga nito ay sa mga projections na ginawa natin na nakikita ho natin na hindi lang po stricter community quarantine ng ating kasangkapan laban sa COVID-19, kagaya ng ECQ, MECQ o GCQ na nakasanayan na natin. Nakita ho natin sa projections na kung pagandahin ho natin ang health system capacity, which refers from the time ho natin ng pag-improve ng ating minimum health standards o ang paggamit ng mask at saka face shield ay matatapatan po natin ang effect ng ating mga community quarantine o kaya mahigitan pa ito dahil mas mapapaganda pa ho ang ating ekonomiya, mababawasan po ang contraction na tinatawag sa ating GDP. So ito po yung basihan ng ating risk classification. Sa susunod na slide po, papakita natin ang ating objectives and key elements ng ating classification framework. So ang ating objective po talaga is to open up the economy safely. Ito gusto natin gawin. We open the economy safely sa mga lugar po na may controlled transmission and adequate preparedness and capacity. At ang pangalawang objective po natin is we allow the predictability and sustained economic activity kasi nahihirapan na ho ang ating mga taong bayan at mga business establishments na papalit-palit ho parate yung ating community quarantine. So mag-hire ho sila, mamaya pag naging stricto ulit yung community quarantine, magbabakasyon ulit yung kanilang mga na-hire. So medyo unstable ho para sa ating ekonomiya. So we want to be more sustainable in our economy. So, para sa ating objective number 1 po, of controlled transmission and adequate preparedness, meron ho tayong 3 elemento. Ang pag-measure ho natin ng transmission rate, ang ginagamit po natin ngayon, ang mas current is yung tinatawag naming ADAR at 2-week growth rate, yung average daily attack rate and 2-week growth rate, na babalangkasin ho namin sa mga susunod na slide mo. Ang pangalawa po sa pagkontrol ng transmission ay bago ho tayo mag-de-escalate, ginagamitan ho natin, sa previous slide ho muna tayo, ginagamitan ho natin ng ginagamitan ho natin ng gatekeeping indicators. So bago ho natin ibalik sila sa mas mababang community quarantine, hinihingi po natin na naka-establish sila sa kanilang health system ng maayos na capacity para magkaroon ng surveillance, magkaroon ng isolation, mga ganun po na ipapakita rin natin mamaya. At isa rin po dito is hindi ho tayo mag-e-escalate kung tumaas ang kaso, mag-e-escalate lang tayo kung yung ating health system, mga health facilities natin ay hindi na makayanan yung pagtaas ng kaso. So ang hudyat lang po ng ating escalation ng community quarantine is ang yung ating tinatawag na HCUR or healthcare utilization rate, no? So para ho maging mas predictable at sustainable ang ating economic activity, ang ginagawa po natin is as much as possible, we maintain the previous risk classification para ho mas stable yung mga protocols in an LGU. And then, dati po, ginagawa natin every 2 weeks, nagre-reclassify tayo. Ngayon po, every month na lang po tayo mag-reclassify para po mas stable yung sa ating mga local government units. So, explain ko lang po ng panandalian yung bawat elemento po ng ating risk classification. Next slide po. So, yung una po nating elemento ay ang pag-measure ng transmission sa average daily attack rate. So, ito yung probability that an individual will become ill with a defined population in a time period. So, sinasabay ho natin ito sa pag-measure ng 2-week growth rate. Ito namang 2-week growth rate po ay mini-measure niya how quickly the number of cases are changing over a period of time. So, dalawa po yung tinitignan natin dyan, yung average daily attack rate. So, the higher the risk, the higher your ADAR, ang tawag namin, average daily attack rate, the higher risk of infection. Sinasabay din po natin yung 2-week growth rate. Kung positive on 2-week growth rate, tumataas po. Kung mas mataas ang porsyento ng 2-week growth rate, mas mabilis yung pagtaas ng kaso. Ang gusto ko natin is yung negative 2-week growth rate. Ibig sabihin po kasi lumiliit na yung epidemya sa lugar na yun. So next slide po. So tinitingnan natin itong dalawang ito. Next slide po. Sa isang cross-tabulation na ginagawa natin. So, tinitignan natin, naggumawa tayo ng low, moderate, or high na average daily attack rate at saka nag-classify ko tayo ng low, moderate, or high na 2-week growth rate. So, yung cross-tabulation po ng risk para sa isang area ay kinukuha namin whether minimal, low, moderate, high, or critical. Next slide please. Punta naman po tayo ngayon sa ating gatekeeping indicators. So ito po, bago ho tayo mag-de-escalate ng risk classification sa isang lugar, gusto ho natin handa na siya para tapatan kung sakaling dumami ulit yung kaso. Para hindi ho pabalik-balik na na-de-escalate siya ng MGCQ, mamaya after 2 weeks or 1 month, babalik na naman sa GCQ. So mahirap po para sa taong bayan para yon. So meron po tayong mga gatekeeping indicators na kailangan mag-submit po sila ng performance nila sa appeals, yung surveillance capacity, community level care staff, contact tracing capacity, active tracing and isolation, and yung referral coordination po. So, next slide po. Ang pangatlo po na tinitignan natin is yung healthcare utilization rate na yun lang po ang dahilan para tayo mag-e-escalate ng community quarantine sa isang lugar. So, ang binibilang po natin dito is yung paggamit natin ng mga ICU beds, isolation beds, and ward beds, at saka ang mechanical ventilator. So, ang pinaka-signal ko dito, dapat less than 60 po para hindi tayo mag-GCQ. Dapat less than 60 ang ating HCUR. Kung lumampas po tayo ng 70, mag-MECQ po. At kung lumampas po ng 85, lang po tayo mag-ECQ. Kahit po dumadami yung mga kaso sa isang lugar, kapag kaya pa po ng ating mga health facilities na bigyan ng atensyon ang mga kaso ng COVID sa lugar, hindi po tayo mag-escalate ng community quarantine. Next slide po. So yung proseso lang po dito is yung tinitignan po namin kung tumataas ang mga healthcare utilization rate natin twice a month on the 14th and the 30th para tingnan po kung merong mga lugar na kailangan i-escalate ang kanilang community quarantine. Pero ho, every month, humaharap po tayo sa IATF para ibigay ang risk classification at sino yung mga areas ho natin na pwedeng mag-de-escalate. So ginagamit ho natin yung case transmission indicators natin, tinitignan natin yung ibang indicators, tsaka yung kung nakakamit nila yung ating gatekeeping indicators bago ho tayo mag-de-escalate. Next slide po. Sa proseso po natin, meron po tayong isang preliminary classification, usually mga 25th of the month. Tapos binibigyan po natin ng pagkakataon ng ating mga local government units para mag-appeal sila using data that they have in their own local government unit. And then we come up with the final classification that is announced by our President. So ang tinitignan ho lang namin, step 1 is kinoconsider ho namin yung previous classification kung pwedeng i-maintain yun. The next step po, step 2, is tinitignan namin yung critical care utilization rate na dapat hindi lumalampas sa 50% para ho, 60%, sorry, para ibig sabihin mo noon, walang signal po para i-escalate yung community quarantine sa lugar. Ang step 3 po is we get the cross-tabulation of the risk from the average daily attack rate and 2-week growth rate. And then, meron din ho tayong tinitignan ng mga ibang information sa step 4. Ang pinaka-importante ho dito is yung socio-economic risk natin. Kasi minsan po, kung maglalagay tayong ng strictong community quarantine sa area, makikita ho natin na minsan may mga areas ho na 45% ang kanilang contribution sa employment sa buong rehiyon, or that they contribute to 28% of the economy for the region. So parang kung ganun po, parang mahirap pong magtaas ng community quarantine sa lugar. So mas maganda pong i-maintain natin yung less strict na community quarantine at gandahan na lang po yung health system capacity at yung minimum health standard. So in this case po, ang proposal namin for this area is still to maintain the risk classification of MGCQ. Next slide po. So ganun din po ang proseso. Sa second
Maraming
example lang po na
salamat,
is ang ating yung classification. Ang previous classification niya sa
dahil
step
marami
1,
pong questions yung
CQ,
ating media, thank you
pero
very much po muna, no? But I think you were very clear on the process pagdating po sa recommendation ng classification. I hope you can join us po for the open forum dahil ang mga kasama po natin sa media may have lots of questions, no? And finally po, ang aking kaklase sa 17th Congress, now Bohol Governor Arthur Yap. Sir, magbubukas kayo sa turismo sa November 15. Ano po ang kahandaan natin laban sa COVID-19 at ano yung mga guidelines na dapat malaman ng gustong bumisita dito sa inyong island paradise na Bohol? The floor is yours, Governor Yap.
Secretary Harry, classmate, thank you very much for coming to Bohol and highlighting our province. At this point in time, we are studying the possibility already na buksan na natin ang Bohol sa domestic tourism by November 15. And for that, para sa mga gustong malaman mga requirements, pwede naman silang bumisita sa tourism.bohol.gov.ph. So uulitin ko lang po, ang mga gustong pumunta sa Bohol, they can check out tourism.bohol.gov.ph. So meron kaming mga hina-highlight na mga tours doon at saka anong mga pwedeng gawin. But mas importante, nandun din yung mga medical protocols na susundin. Kasi ang critical ngayon, meron kang 72-hour na PCR negative test result. So if you have a valid negative PCR test result to COVID, then you can register. Let us know about that. Mabibigyan kayo ng QR code. And you will use that QR code to register. And then you can now book your stay with accredited establishments. When you come to Bohol, hindi pa pwedeng payagan yung do-it-yourself tours. Pero ang mangyayari dito is kahit na you will not be allowed your do-it-yourself tours, meron tayong mga itinerary na i-share sa kanila na pwede nilang pagpilian. So, yun.
Governor, nawala kayo? Governor, nawala kayo? Okay, habang nawala po si Governor, no? Ito po yung QR code na ini-issue nila matapos po kayo magrehistro sa internet. Bibigay po sa inyo to sa airport at i-scan po kayo sa kauna-unang beses sa airport para marehistro na pumasok kayo ng Bohol. Tapos sa lahat po ng pupuntahan ninyo, Lahat ng tourist sites at hotel nyo, i-scan kayo pag dumating kayo at i-scan din kayo pag alis nyo. Napakaganda po ng sistema, paperless, contactless, at wala pong delay. I commend po Governor Yap and the entire province of Bohol for this technological device. Now, we are also joined po by Dr. Chusoy, Attorney Nunyag, and Engineer Alan Vasquez, and they will be here po to answer your questions in the open forum dahil pagbigyan po natin ngayon ang ating media na magtanong ng kanilang mga katanungan. Shall we, si Gov, nakabalik na ba si Gov? Gov, are you back on the line? Anyway, makakasama naman po natin si Governor sa open forum. Okay, first question, Yusek Roque, please. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Secretary Roque. Napakaganda po ng video nyo sa Bohol. Ang unang tanong mula kay Eileen Taliping ng Abante, ito po ay follow-up question mula para po sa issue na Ambassador Barichu Mauro. Ang tanong po niya ay ano daw pong parusan dapat ipataw sa isang opisyal na katulad niya?
Ay, pinaubayan na po natin yan sa Department of Foreign Affairs. Sinigurado naman po ni Secretary Locsin that ipatutupad nila ang karapat-dapat na parusa sa insidenteng ito. So we leave it to the Department of Foreign Affairs.
Opo, second question po mula kay Miguel Aguana ng GMA News Desk. In February, the President was quoted as saying President Trump is a good president and he deserves to be re-elected. Does the President still believe the same?
Pabayaan na po natin ang mga Amerikano magdesisyon yan dahil sila naman po ang hahalal ng kanilang presidente.
Thank you, Secretary.
Punta tayo kay Melo Acuña, please.
Magandang tanghali po, Secretary. It's a nice place to be in, no, sa Bohol. Secretary, let me ask you, do we have enough funds kung sakaling magkakaroon pa ng natural calamities at mga ngailangan yung ating local government units na na-exhaust na yung kanilang 5% ng kanilang pondo? Secretary Harry?
Well, we do have enough funds po given that it's already October. We have about 800 million worth of standby funds and family food packs ready for deployment po kapag nagkaroon na naman ng abirya gaya ng susunod na bagyo gaya ni Rolly. At lahat naman po ng mga kinakailangan ng mga mag-evacuate ay naka-pre-position po, hindi lang pagkain, pati po yung mga evacuation centers have been pre-identified.
Yeah, thank you. For His Excellency Ambassador Antonio Lagdameo, please. Your Excellency, good afternoon from Manila.
Good afternoon.
I'm just interested about the status of Filipino frontline workers in the United Kingdom. How are they doing while they've been acknowledged by the British government for their contribution? How do we attend to their needs and their concerns?
Well, definitely, the British authorities have also set up facility for their NHS employees to be taken care of in case they get infected. In fact, they are the largest number of people getting infected because they are in close contact with the patients. But they are adequately and they are now being very adequately taken care of within the organization of the NHS. So they're and even the protective equipment and everything is they are assured of getting it so that they can be kept as safe as possible.
Your Excellency, would you care to give us facts and figures about Filipinos in your area of responsibility?
Well, I don't have it available here exactly because I'm not at the office right now, so I don't have that exact figure here.
From Your Excellency, yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Governor Arthur Yap, if you may, Governor, how has technology
Thank you, Ambassador.
Yeah. For Governor Yap, if still possible?
Yes, sir. Sir?
Governor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon po.
Yeah. How has technology
Governor,
helped you
go ahead,
in
please.
getting more tourists into your place?
Sir, talagang recognize natin lahat na technology is so critical at this point in time. If we can just have that correct bandwidth and level of strength in terms sa internet connections na napakalaking tulong po nun when we run our contact tracing. Because yung sa laboratory po, meron po tayong 2 laboratory dito. Meron po tayo hospital. Meron po ang provincial government. Meron po tayong laboratory natin. But if you have the ability to, but you do not have the contact trace, then may problema tayo. So yung contact trace critical doon. That's why we're running everybody on a QR code system. Hindi lang yan pang turista. Yung QR code system namin, allow me to show you sa card. Meron system dito na may QR code we're distributing more than 300,000 of that. Hindi lang sa local pero sa mga turista rin. With this QR code system, then it is now possible to use technology to track down people, especially pag merong infected person. Then we can isolate them. And isolation is really the key so that hindi magtuloy-tuloy yung infections. So that will be run on an innovation platform. So very critical po yan. At saka sa reservation po natin ngayon, kung pwede dapat contactless po ang lahat. Then giving information rin po. That's also very critical. So technology and innovation are really going to really form the backbone of our strategy to combat COVID-19.
Thank you very much, Governor. We wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Melo. Thank you, Governor. Bago tayo pumunta sa local media, tatanungin ko lang po si Attorney Lucas Nuñag, Chairman ng Provincial Tourism Council ng Bohol. Sir, why will our countrymen, why should they come and visit Bohol?
Thank you, Secretary. Bohol is as beautiful as ever. At saka mayroon po kaming mga bagong sites na hinahanda, especially relating to our heritage and cultural assets. Marami po tayong mga simbahan. In fact, Bohol has the most number of nationally recognized heritage churches. Marami na pong na-restore pagkatapos po ng lindol na gusto po naming ipakita. At aside from that, mayroon po tayong mga sites na related to our farm tourism.
Okay. Thank you, Attorney Nuñag. Now, we are now joined by Ray Chu, who will moderate the questions from the local media of Bohol. Ray, please.
Thank you, and once again, welcome to Bohol and welcome to Panglao. Our first question would come from Bohol Chronicle, our oldest newspaper in Bohol. We have Kit Bagay po here. Magandang tanghali, Secretary Roque.
Yes.
At sa lahat. Bohol is among the provinces which delivered a resounding victory to the President Duterte's run for the presidency. It goes without saying how popular the President is among Boholanos and that almost all programs of the Duterte administration is well received and supported by Boholanos. The President's recent creation of a mega task force against corruption is no exception. Although, Boholanos are really asking if President Duterte would allow public access to his SALN. This is in light of the Ombudsman's Memorandum Circular, which set limitations to public access of the President's SALN. Well, in a radio survey this morning in Station DYRD, about 80% of Boholanos also needs to be convinced of how serious the President is of his anti-corruption campaign. How do you respond to this, Secretary? Thank you.
Well, tayo naman po ay sumusunod lang sa mga guidelines na sinet ng Office of the Ombudsman. Pero mag-usap po kami ng ating presidente para matapos na po itong isyong ito, ay tatanungin ko na po baka naman magbigyan ng permiso magbigay ng permiso ang presidente para isa public law ang kanyang salin. Pero wala pong tinatago ang ating presidente. Bago po maglabas ng ganitong guidelines sa ombudsman, taon-taon naman po dinalabas si presidente ang kanyang salin. Okay? Now, balik tayo kay Yusek Roque, please.
Thank you, Secretary Roque. Tanong mula kay Jam Punsalan of ABS-CBN. What is Malacanang's reaction to Senator Ping Lacson's comment that the mega corruption task force seems to have started on the wrong foot because President Duterte supposedly made exceptions for some officials, namely DPWH Secretary Mark Villar and Health Secretary Duque?
Ay, wala naman po sigurong ganon, no? Ang katotohanan, ang presidente po isang abogado, isang piskal at specialization pa niya, yung naging special prosecutor siya ng Tanod Bayan, no, na ang kasong mga linitis niya bilang piskal ay yung paglabag ng Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act. Naghahanap lang po ng ebidensya ang Pangulo. Kahit sino naman po, kahit gano'ng kalapit sa kanya, kahit gano'n ang pagpuli niya sa nakaraan, kung meron naman pong ebidensya na katawilian, ay parurusahan ng ating presidente. Nakita po natin yan dito sa karanasan ni General Morales ng PhilHealth, bagamat buo ang tiwala ni Presidente kay General Morales nang nagkaroon naman po ng ebidensya ang task force sa PhilHealth at ibang sangay ng gobyerno, hindi naman po naging hadlang ang presidente para imbestigahan at litisin si General Morales.
Opo. Second question mula pa rin kay Jam Punsalan. Senator Richard Gordon said yesterday that PhilHealth should pay its remaining 561 million debt within 3 days. Will the government be able to do this? Have authorities talked to Red Cross about what would happen if the deadline is not met?
Well, patuloy naman po ang pag-uusap sa panig ng PhilHealth at ng Red Cross. Nagbayad nga po, gaya ng pinangako ng PhilHealth at ng Office of the Executive Secretary ng kalahati doon sa sinisingil ng Red Cross. No? At kampante naman po tayo na since it was no less than the President that said that the Philippine government will pay, ano pa ba ho ang hihingin pa ng PRC? No? Yan po ay sovereign guarantee from the mouth of the President himself. So inaasahan po natin na patuloy po ang magiging partnership ng gobyerno at ng Philippine Red Cross. Bagamat gumawa na po nga ng mga hakbang ang gobyerno para hindi maantala ang pag-uwi ng ating mga OFWs. Kasama na po dito yung sinabi ko na ang Project ARC is willing po na mag-test ng PCR test sa ating mga OFWs in the 11 laboratories at itong isang pribadong testing center sa airport, ang Philippine Airport Diagnostic Lab ay nagsabi na rin na handa po sila na magbigay ng PCR test dun sa mga bumabalik na ating mga OFWs.
Thank you, Secretary.
Okay, Joyce Balancho, please. Thank you, Yusek.
Good afternoon. Yes, Secretary Roque. Just a clarification because you regarded Marichu Mauro as the former ambassador to Brazil. Now, just to clarify, sir, sinibak po ba ni Pangulong Duterte ang ambassador na ito since she is a presidential appointee?
Well, gaya ng sinabi ko po, inaprubahan na po ang pag-iimbestiga labang kay yung ating dating ambahador sa Brazil. No? Na-recall na po kasi siya, kaya po ang sabi ko, baka former ambassador na siya, no? Si Mauro. Pero yan po ang balita at pinaubayan na po namin sa DFA ang investigasyon dahil ang pwede namang ipataw na parusa ay hindi lang administrative, pwede rin mag-recommend ng criminal charges kung kinakailangan ang DFA.
What was the President's reaction, Secretary Roque, when he learned about this case? Was he mad? Was he sad? Ano po yung naging reaction niya? And to the mind of the President, ano yung dapat na kinakaharap na bigat na kaso kapag isang Pinoy ang nasasaktan?
Well, siguro po, ulitin ko na lang ang sinabi ni Secretary Roque, no, na talagang sa mulat-mula, malinaw po na ang administrasyon ni Presidente Duterte ay ginagawang lahat para bigyan ng proteksyon ang lahat ng manggagawang Pilipino sa abroad. Siyempre po, kasama na yan yung kasambahay ni Ambassador Mauro.
Okay, so wala naman pong na-relay sa inyo si Pangulong Duterte na ano yung naramdaman niya upon learning this incident?
Well, yung mabilisan pong pag-authorize na DFA na imbestigahan si Ambassador Mauro, indicative na kinakailangan bigyan ng katarungan yung naging biktima ng karahasan na kasambahay na kababayan natin.
Opo, si Senator Francis Pangilinan on a different topic po, Secretary Roque, wants a probe on the national security implications of entry of more than 4 million Chinese nationals here in the country since 2017. And he raises fears that there might be some sort of, and I'm going to quote him, orchestrated soft invasion of China dahil nga po dito sa influx of Chinese nationals. What do we say about this, Secretary?
Well, ang presidente naman po ay rinirespeto ang kapangyarihan ng Senado na magsagawa ng investigasyon in aid of legislation and by way of oversight sa kahit anong programa ng gobyerno. So that's welcome po. Yes, again, bago tayo magpatuloy, siguro tatanungin ko naman po ang ating isa pang panauhin, si Engineer Allen Varquez. Engineer, ano naman ho ang kahandaan ng mga hotel, resort, and restaurant owner dito sa Bohol para tumanggap ng bisita from all over the country po?
Hi, thank you, sir, Secretary, for the visit. We have actually we are actually a group of resorts, and we actually pushed for this tourism reopening in Bohol. But prior to that, we have prepared guidelines and protocols which we have submitted to the to our provincial government, and knowing that we are the ones who prepared this, so while we were preparing, nag-prepare na rin kami actual sa aming mga establishments, which we also practiced. We actually exercised it during the last FITEX last September. It turned out a success, and with that basis, we found ourselves to be prepared na talaga with the reopening. And then, as of this time, we are actually with coordination with our provincial government to come up with the IRR for the new normal, which we will be passing by November 15. So, there.
Okay, maraming salamat, Engineer Vasquez. Balik tayo kay Ray Chu.
Maraming salamat po. Our next question would come from Dave Alvarado of Bohol Tribune.
Yes, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Mr. Secretary. I just want to know, parents in Bohol are struggling with teaching their children using the modules. I just want to know what are the steps being taken by the DepEd or perhaps the national government in doing, in helping rather, the plight of the parents who are struggling to balance their time between work and the time that they spend with their children teaching them.
Hindi ko po nakuha yung tanong. Ano po yung tanong?
What are the steps being taken by the national government or the DepEd in order to alleviate the plight of these parents who are struggling to teach or to balance the teaching of their children using the modules, sir?
Okay. Well, alam nyo naman po, ang pangunahing pamamaraan ng ating edukasyon ngayon dahil po sa pandemya ay modular learning. No? Kaya naintindihan po namin na talagang mas malaki ngayon ang papel na ginagampan ng mga pamilya at kamag-anak dito sa modular learning ng ating mga kabataan. Pero bukod po sa modular learning, meron din po tayong online, at kung wala naman pong online, ginagamit din po natin ang TV at ang mga radyo. Pero ang tanong is, what we can do to assist? Well, meron din po tayo mga guro na naka-standby kung kinakailangan ng extra tulong ng mga magulang pagdating dito sa modular learning. So makipag-ugnayan lang po tayo sa mga teachers dahil nandiyan pa rin po ating mga teachers para po kung kinakailangan ng tulong ng mga magulang o ng mga kamag-anak, doon sa modular learning, meron naman pong maitutulong na maibibigay itong mga teachers. Okay? Thank you very much. Yusek Roque.
Secretary, question from Trish Tarada of CNN Philippines. What does the palace think of DOJ's decision to start its corruption probe on Bureau of Customs, Bureau of Internal Revenue, Land Registration Authority, and DPWH? Did they relay bakit po dito magsisimula?
Well, fully supported po natin yan. Siguro naman po ang rason ay obvious. Traditionally po, talagang malawakan at systemic ang korupsyon sa mga ahensyang ito at nagagalak naman po kami na pinili ni Secretary Maynard Guevara itong mga pinaka-notorious sa korupsyon para simulan ng investigasyon ng Expanded Task Force on Corruption.
Opo. Second question kay Trish Tarada ng CNN Philippines. Can FISGOC be investigated or will it be part of offices that will be investigated?
Ano yung office?
Can FISGOC daw po be investigated or will it be part of offices that will be investigated?
Opo. Well, oo. Okay, yung opisina po kung tungkol to sa Southeast Asian Games, nagpahayag na po ng ang ombudsman na bumuo na sila ng team para imbestigahan po yung ahensyang yan. No? So, bagamat hindi po nabanggit yan ni Secretary Guevara, ang ombudsman po nagsabi na meron na po silang binuong panel para mag-imbestiga dyan.
Okay. Secretary, yung third question ni Trisha, nasagot niyo na po sa tanong ni Jam Punsala ng ABS-CBN. Thank you, Secretary.
Maraming salamat. Punta muna tayo kay Joseph Morong.
Hi sir, good morning. Sir, dagdag ko na ba yung Tourism Secretary sa portfolio mo?
Hindi po. Spokes lang po at talaga naman pong iniinganyo ng ating presidente na buhayin ang turismo para magkaroon po ng hanap buhay ang ating mga kababayan at kaya naman ito kung pangangalagaan natin ang ating mga buhay.
Okay sir. Sir, kagabi si Presidente nauna nang bumisita sa kanyang mga magulang. This is ahead of yung pagbabawal ng IATF na dun sa pagbisita sa mga puntod ngayong undas. Now, my question is, soundbite first on that, and then second is he still going to announce ba yung final decision doon sa GCQ status ng Metro Manila and some other places? Because when we had the press conference, proposal pa lang yon, appeal ng 28, and the announcement day ng final decision. What is the final decision? And will the President be announcing it or kayo na po?
Well, as we announced po, as the President announced, it's subject to appeal. So ang aalamin na lang natin kung yung mga lugar na under GCQ ay meron nag-apila at ang pagkakaalam ko at least 2 provinces and 1 city have said na hindi naman sila mag-aapila. No? So tingin ko kung wala naman pong apila ay i-reiterate na lang natin sa 29 na yun po yung classification. Yung unang tanong mo hindi ko masyado naintindihan, yung pagpunta ni Presidente sa puntod ng kanyang mga magulang, well, yan naman po ay alinsunod doon sa desisyon ng IATF na magsasarado ang mga semeteryo, mga kalumbaryo mula 29 hanggang 4 ng Nobyembre at nagpunta naman po ang Presidente bago magsara ang semeteryo sa Davao.
Sir, sabi niyo 29 na sir ngayon, yung announcement, final decision.
Yung IATF po mamayang 2 p.m. So kung meron pong pagbabago doon sa inanunsyo ni Presidente, pagbibigay alam po natin. Tayo po ay maglalabas ng advisory.
Okay. Sir, meron po ang na-monitor na I think interview nyo with one of the radio stations and then you said that this is with regard to the price cap of the testing, no? And then you said that the PWG has already finished its recommendation and it's up to the President to sign an order to impose a price ceiling on the testing cost. No? The first question, sir, is what is the proposal of the TWG? I know you're going to say that there are other available testing facilities, but focusing on the TWG recommendation, what is the recommendation? What is the price cap that they are suggesting to the president? And is it important to put a price cap to COVID testing?
Well, dahil nga po ito ay decision ng Presidente, I cannot preempt the decision of the President. But what I can assure you is, natapos na po yung responsibilidad ng TWG ng DOH, tapos na rin po ang paperwork sa Office of the Executive Secretary, at ngayon po ay nag-aantay na lang ng pirma ng ating Presidente.
So, it's safe to say, sir, that we will impose a price cap.
From all indications, mukha naman pong magkakaroon ng price cap.
And why is that?
And
why is that?
Antayin na po muna natin ang desisyon ng Presidente. Why is that? Kasi po, yung iba naman, napakataas talaga ng sinisingil. No? Alam naman natin na po pwedeng mas mura yung testing na yan dahil sa Project ARC nga, as low as 1.5, kaya nilang magbigay ng testing up to 2,000. No? So, yan lang po para maging mas affordable lang testing sa ating mga kababayan. At sa ganung paraan, mas marami pong matetesting dahil importante po yan sa ating strategiya dahil kung walang testing, di natin alam kung sino isolate at kung sino ang gagamutin.
Yes, sir. Last na lang, sir. What is the inclination of the IATF and the government till year-end? Kasi you're opening up na yung mga tourist spots. In terms of community quarantine, do you think it will be safe for the government to just stay in GCQ, at least in those areas na malaki yung economic activity?
Well, ang decision po ay para sa Nobyembre pa lamang dahil we don't want to rule out a change in classification for December. Nakadepende po yan doon sa mga factors na diniscuss ni Yusek Lilibet David. Ang pinaka-importante po yung daily attack rate at saka yung 2-week growth rate at saka yung clinical care, yung utilization rate. So, antabayanan po natin kung ano maging desisyon para sa Disyembre.
Alright, sir. Thank you for your time. Enjoy po dyan.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Ray Chu?
Yes, sir. Our next question would come from a guy wearing two hats today. Bohol News Today and Bohol Balita Daily News. This is Rick Obidencio, sir.
Yes, Rick.
Good afternoon po sa lahat. Welcome, sir. Good afternoon, Attorney Lucas and Barkis and Sir Henry. My question is that Bohol people are facing restrictions. One of these is the curfew hours. Recently, the provincial capital, provincial government, the governor, the Sangguniang Panalawigan, have given the leeway to the local government units, municipalities and barangays, to craft their own ordinance and implement that on different hours. For example, here in Panglao, they have 12 o'clock to 4 in the following day. In Tagbilaran, 10 o'clock to 5. Usually, in the beginning, we have an executive order, 9 in the evening to 5 p.m. But because some LGUs claim that they want to go back, especially here in Panglao and other towns, nearby towns, because, you know, Bohol is tourism. Of course, there are nighttime. There are some, the industry is, for example, the entertainers, and the industry is already down. What I mean is that tourism is already down. So they want to revive the economy. So we have different curfew hours. Now, do you think that there is a need a uniform curfew hours? Because a lot of people I have interviewed, they say that they are confused. When they go this town, there is that 9 to 4. In certain barangay in Tubigon, about 55 from here, there is 8 in the evening to 6. So as an island, do you think, I don't know how to, because the provincial government has given, again, the freedom to LGUs to craft their own curfew hours. Because according to the governor, as claimed by the mayors, they know more the situation of their turf, respective turf. Thank you.
Well, alam niyo po, ang IATF po ay pinaubaya talaga sa lokal na mga pamahalaan kung ano yung magiging curfew nila. Nagkaroon lang po kami ng rekomendasyon, no? Kung di po ako nagkakamali, parang 12 to 4 ata yung naging rekomendasyon, no? Pero sa Metro Manila po ay inadapt po nila yan. Tapos pagdating ng Disyembre 1, para sa simbang gabi, ginawa nilang 12 to 3, no? So nasa decision na po talaga yun ng local government unit, pero siguro tanongin natin si Governor Art Yap. Governor, would you care to comment on the question?
Thank you, Harry. Originally, nasa 9 to 5 kami, but we've already amended that in the Sangguniang Panlalawigan, giving the mayors the authority and the call since they have the discretion over their areas. When the mayor fails to provide a special curfew or hours in his area, then mag-kick in as a yung sa amin 9 to 5 yung sa provincial government. But we feel the 9 to 5 is already the restrictive one. So if they don't want to follow the 9 to 5, binibigyan na natin yung mga mayors ng discretion because mas alam nila yung sitwasyon sa area nila. So pwede nang i-adjust yun kung gusto nila gawing 10 to 4 or 11 to 4 and 5. It's up to them. So yung sa provincial government na 9 to 5, default na yun, Mr. Secretary. Default lang po yun.
Okay, thank you, Governor. And before we continue, siguro question kay Henry Chusoy. Sir, thank you very much for your hospitality. He is the owner of the Henan Resorts Group of Company. Sir, ang tanong ko po, ilan na empleyado ninyo bago magpandemya? Ilan pong empleyado nyo ngayon dito sa Henan, Bohol? At ano pong gusto nyong hingin sa pamahalaan para makatulong sa pagbangon na makabangon ang turismo? Pakipindot.
We have 2 resorts here, and we should be employing almost 1,200 employees. But because of this pandemic, today we are only employing 60. No? So, kawawa naman mga tao natin. So my suggestion ko is, this is more of an education to the Boholanos and to our employees, how we will not be infected with this coronavirus. Because kung masyadong it has been tested in Boracay and may PCR test, walang pumupunta. We have only 30 to 50 arrivals from Manila. No? In Iloilo, almost zero na because they require also Iloilo PCR test. And wala pa yung plane ticket sa Iloilo. So this PCR test is very few people is willing. First you have to pay 4,000 to 5,000, and then the inconvenience, the hassle of going to the hospital, of going to the whatever, what clinic. So if this, ang ano ko lang, suggestion, like for example Cebu, which is MGCQ, dapat ano na siya, wala nang restriction. Because MGCQ to MGCQ is just the same. So there should be no more restriction for more people to come. And more people to come, meaning more employees we can employ. So kung walang turista, how can we pabalik natin? Paano pabalik ang empleyado natin? Kawawa na sila. They're very poor already. No? Yun lang ma-suggest ko sa provincial government.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Mr. Henry Chusoy. Sa ngayon po, nagkakaroon po ng pilot study ang IATF sa paggamit ng antigen test. It is cheaper and the results are out by 10 to 15. It is being pilot tested po ngayon in Baguio. Perhaps antayin po natin ang resulta ng pilot testing. We go back again to you, Sec. Roque.
Yes, ang Secretary mula kay MJ Blanca Flor of Daily Tribune. Question on COVID testing. The Department of Tourism is appealing for a price cap on RT-PCR and antigen tests to enhance tourism revival. When will the palace issue the executive order for this? Bakit po natatagalan ang pagre-release ng price ceiling for COVID tests?
Well, as I said po, no, that's for the final decision of the President already. Antayin na lang po natin.
Mula pa rin po kay MJ Blanca Flor, questions on vaccines. There are circulating text messages which claim that COVID-19 vaccines are being sold in Philippines for 50,000 per shot. Ano po ang paalala ng ating pamahalaan sa publiko?
Bawal po yan. Meron pong pinapataw na parusa sa kahit sino magbebenta ng gamot o bakuna na hindi po aprobado ng FDA. Meron pong kulong yan. Itigil niyo po yan.
Huling tanong ni MJ Blanca Flor, Senator Ontiveros filed a resolution urging the Executive Department to support the campaign which seeks to suspend provisions under the trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights. She said the move will ensure universal access to affordable and safe COVID-19 vaccines. Will the palace heed her call?
Pacta sunt servanda po. It is a treaty obligation that we entered into in good faith, which we have to comply with. Pero meron naman po tayong COVAX na bagong tratado na nagsisiguro po na lahat po ay magkakaroon ng equitable and affordable vaccine matapos po ito ma-develop. Okay, balik tayo kay Ray.
Our next local question would come. Our next local question would come from a radio station. This is Dave Responte of DYTR.
Maayong hapon, Secretary.
Maayong hapon.
Maybe we just want to follow up any update on the alleged corruption involving investigation on RD LTO Victor Caindic, sir.
Pinaubayan na po natin yan sa ARTA, sa PACC, at ang alam ko naman po, dahil meron na silang liham doon, ay nagkakaroon naman po ng investigasyon. Pero alinsunod po talaga ito sa determinasyon ng ating Presidente, itigil ang korupsyon. Yusek Roque, please.
Mula po kay Virgil Lopez, Senator Lacson has questioned the decision of the Department of Budget and Management to tag the funds for congressional initiatives in the 2020 national budget as for a later release. He said even crucial projects in pursuit of the executive branch agenda had been left hanging due to the DBM's policy. Any comment on this?
Well, yung FLR po, naging necessary naman po yan dahil siyempre kinakailangan muna natin gastusan yung pinaka-importanting mga bagay na related po sa COVID-19. So yan naman po ang assurance natin for later release, yung mga infrastructure, dahil unahin muna natin ang COVID-19 expenses.
Mula pa rin kay Virgil Lopez, the Senate has released the summary of the Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth of the Senators for 2019. Will Malacanang do the same in the case of President Duterte's SALN for 2018 and 2019?
Well, gaya ng sinabi ko po, no? Tatanungin po natin yan sa Presidente at kasi ang kanyang posisyon bilang isang abogado, sundin naman ang guidelines ng Ombudsman.
Thank you, Secretary.
Ambassador, may I call on Ambassador Antonio Lagdameo kasi meron siyang figure na isasagot doon sa tanong ni Melo Acuña kanina. Ambassador, the floor is yours again.
As of yesterday, the 28th of October, the total, confirmed cases in the United Kingdom is 917,575 and deaths of 45,365. Whereas in the Filipino community here, with 200,000 population, we have 675 confirmed cases, 525 recovered, and 57 deaths. That's for the United Kingdom. In In Ireland, which is also part of our territory, the total cases in Ireland is 58,767. That's the population. And they have 1,890 recovered. 1,890 total fatalities. And then, but the recoveries are, what's that? This thing is 1,890 recoveries. No, 23,364 recoveries in Ireland. Now, in the Filipino community, there were a total of 63 infected, 57 recoveries, and there were 2 deaths of the 18,000 Filipino community in Ireland. That's what I wanted to add on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Para lang sa kaalaman ng ating mga kababayan, si Ambassador Lagdameo has joined us via vMix from London, England. 6 hours difference po. Ibig sabihin, he woke up very early in London, siguro alas 5 to be able to join us. We appreciate this very much, Ambassador. Ang tanong ko lang po, bakit po mas gwapo at mukhang mas bata kayo kaysa kay Anton Lagdameo?
Thank you.
You will invoke your right against self-incrimination. Maraming salamat po. Rachel again po.
Thank you very much. Question would come from Radio Pilipinas Cebu and DYMR. We have Jessa Krishna Marie Ilanan.
Magandang hapon po, Secretary.
Thank you.
Well, we know that Bohol is a major driving force in terms of tourism. Maybe just know for the record what made you choose to visit Bohol, and we'd like to also know if you have intentions or scheduled visit to neighboring Central Visayas provinces, which are equally tourist destinations on their own, like Siquijor, Negros Oriental, and even Cebu.
Obviously, I am playing favorites. I like Bohol more than the other places because in Bohol, not only do you have the white sand of Alona Beach, you also have the Chocolate Hills, the Terrace here, and the Lobok River Cruise. So, aminado po, favorite ko po talaga ang Bohol. Pero wag po kayo mag-alala sa mga ibang lugar na nagbukas na sa turismo. Dadalhin po natin ang press briefing dyan dahil naniniwala po kami doon sa panawagan ng Presidente. Ingatan po ang buhay para tayo lahat ay magkaroon ng hanap buhay. Yes, Yusek Roque?
Opo, Secretary, dalawang huling tanong na lang po mula kay Joe Montemayor. Your comment, please, on the September SWS survey that showed that 39% of Filipinos believe that there are probably more COVID-19 cases and that 31% said there is probably less COVID-19 cases than what is reported by government.
Well, hindi ko pa po nakikita ang SWS survey. So, paumanhin po, I would rather see the survey first before commenting.
Last question naman po mula kay Trish Tarada ng CNN Philippines. Kailan po ang next address ni Pangulong Duterte and IATF meeting? Meron po ba sa Monday, November 2 special holiday?
Ang alam ko po, it will be on a Friday, not on a Monday. But that has to be confirmed. TBD po ang annotation dyan, no? TBD. Pero teka po, just to be safe po, no? Let me check po, no? Anyway, I will check po, pero ang nakita ko po is a Friday, not a Monday, no? So, but let me check on that po, ha? Hindi ko po mabuksan ngayon ang aking kalendaryo as we conduct. Okay, wala na pong mga tanong. Maraming salamat, Pilipinas, for joining our press briefing today. Maraming salamat, Governor Yap, for hosting us in this beautiful province of Bohol. Maraming salamat po sa ating mga kasama sa Malacanang Press Corps. Maraming salamat kay Yusek Roque. Maraming salamat, Yusek David, for joining us. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Lagdameo. And thank you very much, of course, to our other guests, si attorney and engineer Nunag, my neighbor in Quezon City, Attorney Lucas Nunag, Engineer Alan Vasquez, and of course, we will not be here. We will be homeless and starving without Henry Chusoy of Henan Group of Resorts. Maraming salamat po, Philippines, and siyempre po, kung wala ang PTV4, hindi nyo kami mapapanood, at maraming salamat sa napakagandang video na ginawa po ng PTV4. Sa ngalan po ng ating Presidente, Rodrigo Roa Duterte, ito po yung spokes nagsasabi, pero na po, bumisita tayo sa napakagandang isla ng Bohol. Good afternoon to all of you.
Pakinggan mo bunso ng malaman.
Matinding kalaban ng COVID.
Ayokong makahawa.
At mahawa.
Pero kailangan ko na magtrabaho.
Kaya di ako magiging pabaya.
Di matigas ang aking ulo.
Iingatan ko ang aking sarili.
Para maingatan ang pamilya ko.
Ito ang ambag ko.
Ako.
Ikaw.
Lahat tayo.
Sama-sama nating
Maiaangat ang bayan.
Basta't sama-sama tayo.
Sa pag-ingat buhay.
Para sa ating hanap buhay.
Mask, hugas, iwas.